Let's get some analysis now. I'm joined by Rian Geldenhuys, who's with the Trade Law Chamber. He's live in our Cape Town studio. Good afternoon to you, Rian. Rob Davies saying that this threat of suspension will probably be lifted. There are just a few issues to iron out, but surely this is quite serious that we've got to this point.
Yes, no, good afternoon. Thank you very much for that. I agree with you. It's quite serious. I mean, it's one thing saying that the issues are almost ironed out, and then you get this sudden, very severe warning. So we're hoping it gets sorted out quickly, and I trust that the Minister and the relevant authorities would do their best to do it, because the impact could be quite extensive. I mean, it's last year's figures, I think, was about $3.6 billion that we currently export to the United States purely through AGOA.
The US also put a special clause, I remember us reporting about this, where South Africa could be reviewed every few months. Surely that points to a lack of trust, and that came after months and months of negotiation.
Yes, sure. With the extension of AGOA prior to its expiry, a special clause was inserted for South Africa saying that they could bring an out-of-cycle review, so specifically fingering South Africa and pointing them, saying, listen, certain things need to be done for you to still continue, or for us to still continue being able to benefit under AGOA. So yes, it is quite a worrying thing, but just because that has been included doesn't necessarily mean that we'll be excluded, for sure. So as long as the authorities and the Minister and all of the negotiating partners play their role, I think it should be a matter that one can resolve. It's also not as if the United States wants us out, it's just that they do have some concerns about South Africa's continued eligibility under AGOA.
For lay people, can we just unpack some of the issues? Rian, this is about meat, avian flu, which is alarming to a lot of people, salmonella. What are the exact sticking points here?
So the first exact sticking point was the fact that we imposed anti-dumping duties against poultry products coming in from the United States. And the US alleged that we did so in an unfair or illegal manner. So that was just an allegation that didn't pursue that matter any further, and that was resolved. The South African authorities agreed, and also the producers agreed, to allow a certain extent of poultry products into the market. The SPS measures, or the sanitary and phytosanitary measures, they are animal or plant safety standards, so to prevent the spread of disease and to make sure that humans are safe when they do consume agricultural products. For those, we of course have issues, the bird flu that we mentioned earlier and a few others. So we need to harmonize our standards so that we all sing from the same book, so to speak, so that if there is no longer any issue in the States, we should be accepting their products coming into our market. But I think that the issue is a little bit more complex than that. It is not only focused on these agricultural products, even though that was what Mr. Obama said in his statement. The fact of the matter is we also don't currently have a free trade agreement with them. It's a unilateral legislation, so unilateral benefits that America extends our way. And I think that they very much like for us to have a bilateral free trade agreement with them. If you look at what we've got with the US, with the European Union, we currently have a free trade agreement with them. They also have concerns about, let's say, the policy decisions being made currently in the country, legislation being brought out, perhaps limiting foreign ownership that may have an impact on American trade and investment with South Africa. And if you look at the eligibility requirements that AGOA has, those are one of the requirements that you must be able to comply to. In other words, reduce barriers to trade between South Africa and the US.
It sounds from what you're saying and from what I've heard before that America does want, I think the word is a bit more pro, I think it is. They want benefits from South Africa as well. Just put it in perspective. How much benefit do we get from AGOA? And if we open our markets more freely to US goods, there are risks attached to that, aren't there?
Yes, there's of course a risk attached to opening up your market, specifically in goods. It may be that someone is a more efficient producer than you may be. That could be one instance, and then you have to compete with that more efficient producer. Typically the risk for many producers or manufacturers would be someone who's getting some unfair advantage, and that could be in the way of a subsidy. So the US is quite strong on providing agricultural subsidies to their producers, so they essentially can sell their product in our market for much less than they're able to produce it for, as an example. Or it could be that they engage in some form of predatory dumping, whereby they literally sell their products for below what they sell it back home, and purely to take market share, and then once the market share has been taken, they can up their prices. So there definitely are some concerns, but the benefit would also be, I mentioned earlier on, it's $3.6 billion. That was the trade last year just through AGOA, but we have to look at it further. America is arguably the biggest consumer market in the world. If South Africa was able to conclude a free trade agreement with the United States, the benefits could be much more. It would not only extend to goods, but it would also extend to services. So in services, South Africa is moving strongly towards the services economy. There would be a lot of opportunities that could potentially open up that way. So we definitely do not want to upset the US government in this, and I think no one wants that. And yes, to maintain good relations and eye on the future, I think it should be a good thing if we could conclude and enter negotiations with them further.
All right, thank you very much for your analysis, Rian Geldenhuys from the Trade Law Chamber, and we'll follow what's happening there. Currently, this matter being discussed by a lot of vets on both sides, it sounds like.